Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name's Amelia and here on this channel we talk about writing, journaling, and productivity to help you curate a life that you love. So I'm filming this video weeks before it goes live, so this is a little weird. So apologies if there are any weird time inconsistencies because as I film this I haven't moved yet. So for today, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys about my 5 tips for journaling every single day. And the reason I wanted to do this is because a lot of people who want to get into journaling tend to do it for a few days, like in a week or like for a month maybe, but they end up falling off rather quickly. Or they're very inconsistent and they kind of beat themselves up about it. Personally, I'm pretty inconsistent with my journaling. I don't always journal every single day. Some days I do, some weeks I don't, you know, and the reason for that is simply because I never force myself to journal if I don't feel like it, and that's fine. But for those of you who are interested in putting in the self-discipline and putting in the hard work to journal every single day, I have tips for you. Before we get into this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more journaling content like this. Also, before we get into the video, I know so much is happening. If you haven't seen my video on my July updates, please be sure to do so because there's a lot happening in the month of July, and even though this video is coming out towards the end of the month, a lot of these things are still applicable, and I think that for anybody who wants to get to know more about me or see more insight, that is a good place to go do that. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this video. So I'm a little lost because someone started weed eating outside and it was very noisy. So I'm a little confused as to where we were. But nevertheless, let's just go ahead and move on to the 5 tips that I want to give you for journaling every single day. So my first tip for people who are interested in journaling like consistently and they want to do it every single day, that's like a goal for them, my tip for you is to invest or try out a 5-minute journal. 5-minute journals are specifically built to have prompts that don't require a lot of explanation. The prompts are quick, they're simple, but they do offer you the chance to be creative with what you write about, and they do offer introspection, self-reflection, all of those good details and tidbits that come with journaling as is. One reason I really love 5-minute journals is because the prompts are meant to take you only 5 minutes, there's no worry that you have to write pages upon pages of response. Typically, a paragraph is normal. I've seen many 5-minute journals and I do like some more than others, typically based on the prompts, because I do like more introspective, self-reflective, and self-healing prompts, and I don't really need like creative writing prompts necessarily, so I don't need story starters. I will link a blog post for 5-minute journals that I reviewed and liked below, but I also wanted to direct you to the 5-minute journal that I created. It's available on my website, and I basically gathered a bunch of prompts that I either made up or found online that I really enjoyed and put them in a 5-minute journal digital PDF. There are lines and like space for you to write, but you could just copy down the prompts and put them in your own notebook as well. I also have 100 free journal prompts available through my email newsletter. If you guys are interested, I'm not spammy, I only email twice a month, and I'm not emailing at all for this month of July, as far as I know, but I do have that available for you guys as well if you want 100 free journal prompts, and that is in a very cohesive like little document as well, so you guys can copy them down and use them whenever, wherever. Some of them do require a bit like longer responses, but many could be done like a 5-minute journal. 5-minute journals are also great because they're only 5 minutes, and this is why I'm really pushing this idea for you guys, because a lot of people think they have to set aside 20 minutes or 30 minutes every single day for journaling, and maybe at some point you can. There are people out there who do that. Typically, I set aside about 20 minutes per journaling session, so that's one reason why I don't journal every single day. However, you don't have to do that. If you want to journal and you want it to be quick, you want to be consistent and do it every single day, 5 minutes is a great allotment of time. You can also do 2 minutes and 3-minute increments as well. I've seen people do those. those seem to work just as good. But the 5-minute journal is probably one of the most popular, and it allows you to dive a little bit deeper than you can with a 2 to 3 minute journal prompt, but also takes away the anxiety and time limitedness. I'm a writer and I can't even come up with a word for that. That comes with journaling for 20 minutes. So essentially it can be a lot easier to journal for 5 minutes, whether in the morning, in the evening, or midday, just to pull out a journal really quickly, and then be done. 5 minutes is not much of your time, and for a lot of people, especially busy people who are balancing jobs, side hustles, school, and much more, this is one of the best ways to go about it. Again, if you are interested in 5-minute journals, I will have resources down below that you can go check out, and I also have a few journal with me session videos on my channel, which if you do just one prompt, honestly, like a day, that would, you know, you can do it for like 5 minutes, and there you go, you're starting out. So that kind of leads us into my second tip, which is to use journal prompts. Over time, once you've begun journaling quite often, it can be easier to avoid prompts altogether. You can just kind of jot down whatever you want. I find that myself personally, I don't need very many journal prompts when I go on rants, especially when I'm working through like tough situations in my life, or when I'm dream journaling, or when I'm journaling like in my scrapbook, because typically I don't need prompts for that. But in other instances where I journal, I love journal prompts so much. I think one reason I really like journal prompts is because there are questions that people put out, whether like on Pinterest is where I go usually when I need inspiration, or even with my own list of 100 journal prompts, again, free, down below if you're interested. But I use that a lot. I forget like half the prompts I wrote on there, so it's fun to go back and look at what I wrote and then use those prompts. I think prompts are great because they challenge you to think about things, to answer questions that you may have never asked yourself or considered. I particularly love journaling with the phases of the moon. I have a whole video on that as well, so I'll link it below. But I use journal prompts all the time for those moon phases. Typically, I journal with the new moon, which as of right now is coming up in like a day, and then I also journal for the full moon pretty much every single month, and I always use prompts, usually prompts that I've never done before, or even some that I have. And the reason, again, is just because it's fun to ask myself the questions that I don't typically ask myself, and to venture off into ideas that I don't normally venture to. Okay, so my third tip for people who want to journal every day is to switch it up. One thing that I see a lot is people get bored of journaling. So journaling can become a habit over time if you put in the self-discipline, put in the work up front, then you will end up having journaling become a habit for you. And habits are great because then you start doing the actions, the activities, journaling, without even thinking about it. And so that's really where we're trying to go, because if you're doing it naturally without forcing yourself to do it or set aside time to do it, then you'll be doing it a lot, all the time. But one reason that a lot of people quit journaling, put it down, walk away, is because they don't switch up what they write about. And this is so important. One thing that I struggle with, I mean, if I'm sharing it, I probably struggle with it. But one thing that I have noticed in my own writing is that I tend to repeat quite a bit, and it becomes monotonous. It becomes dull, and I start viewing journaling as a chore. So with my journals, I'll just go recently. I have been journaling so much about the move, what I want to do, making manifestation type journal prompts, questions, you know, answering that stuff. And the problem is that now I'm just repeating myself, and the more I repeat myself, the duller, less exciting it becomes. So instead of journaling about my manifestations, at least as of right now, I have started to journal about my characters and about my stories, because that excites me a lot in this moment, since I'm putting a lot of effort into my stories in the month of July. If you want to learn more about my stories, my characters, all that stuff, because I am a writer and an author, I will be talking more about my Kindle Vella story in a future video, but I will leave a link to it below, and just a link to my books section in my website, so you can kind of get an idea of what my stories are and what I'm talking about. But yes, I have been changing up my journaling strategy because I've been manifesting a little too much and it's become boring. So my advice to you, if you are finding that journaling is boring to you or that you are running out of ideas on things to write about, is to change it up. Again, journal prompts are a great way to do that, but also just look at some of the videos I have on my channel. There's quite a few options out there, and changing it up is a great way to invite more excitement to your journaling experience, because the more excited and passionate you are about it, the better off it will be. Now, I did want to mention one more thing. It has absolutely nothing to do with the 5 tips on journaling every single day, but I think it will be very beneficial to people out there who are struggling to write every single day or struggling to journal with any consistency. So I wanted to talk about how you don't have to journal every single day for your journaling to be beneficial to you. One thing that I did not too long ago with my friends is we did accountability journaling, where basically every night on Sunday, my one friend messaged the group and like she'd be like, "Don't forget to journal, ladies," and then we would. We never read our entries to each other or anything, but it was like an accountability thing that we introduced. I will be talking about accountability and journaling at some point in the near future, but that's not really what I wanted to talk about here. What I wanted to talk about is that we were only journaling once a week. Now, yes, I technically was journaling more often. I don't know if they were. I do know the girl that hosted it was journaling once a week. She did a 20-minute session every Sunday night, and that's all she did. But because she was a busy person, this worked really well for her. And it's a habit that even after we finished doing that, she continued to do. And I think that for people who are struggling with journaling every single day, whether that's with a 5-minute journal or going for a longer session, I think that it can be very beneficial to start with 1 day a week. And I would argue that it would be better to do 20 minutes on that 1 day a week, but really you can do whatever works for you. And the reason that this works so well is because it breaks up any monotony. A big problem with journaling every single day, like I had mentioned just before, is that it can become very repetitive and you'll be talking about the same things, because typically events and actions and things that we think about, want, desire, or do in life tend to be over the span of days or weeks rather than just a 1 day type of thing. So then you end up writing about the same things for quite a while before the topic changes. And so if you're having trouble switching it up, I would argue that you should try journaling just once a week and see if that works better for you. Because journaling is journaling, it's going to benefit you no matter what, and the amount of journaling that you do, in a sense, at least when it comes to should I do 5 minutes a day every single day or 20 minutes at the beginning of the week, that doesn't matter as much. It's still going to be beneficial either way. Okay, so let's get on to tip number 4 for my how to journal every single day, and that is to not beat yourself up if you miss a day. There are days where we are low, we don't feel right, we're sick, or we're tired, or we're just overwhelmed with work and all kinds of busyness that comes with life, and those days it can be very hard to set aside time to journal. I have been experiencing this, or I will be experiencing this, because like I said, I'm filming this way ahead of time. I will be experiencing this coming very soon. Tomorrow and the rest of the weekend, I'm actually going to be remodeling on the house, so that's going to be interesting. But the remodel and everything that I'm doing, since I'm traveling up and down like 3-hour journeys from city to city, it's going to take its toll on me, and I might not journal as often as I usually do. But it's important when we are busy, when we are low or whatever, that we don't get upset that we have missed a day or have messed up the schedule. I've gone whole weeks without journaling a single word, and that's okay, because sometimes it's not what you need in order to feel happy, to feel better, to be okay. While yes, journaling is a great thing for people who want to better understand themselves, have more emotional agility, who may be struggling with a mental illness, or who want to use it as a form of therapy, it's okay if you don't do it all the time. It's okay to miss days, and I don't think we shouldn't beat ourselves up for those imperfections. And if you miss a day, that's just what I guess the universe wanted, and that's okay because you can journal again tomorrow. Every day is a new day, and it's okay if you miss out on one session. It's not like you can't do it again. Alright, and my fifth tip for journaling every single day is to keep your journal somewhere where you can see it. When it comes to forming a habit, I think I talked about this in a video. I don't know if I took it down or not, but I did have a video where I spoke once about the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. To sum up the idea here, in his book, he mentions that in order for an action to become a habit, you need to have a cue. And your cue could be something as simple as playing your journal somewhere where you can see it, because when you see it, you'll think, I should journal, I haven't done it today, and then you will do it. If your journal is hidden away, you're less likely to remember it, and therefore less likely to do the action. This is the same reason why we set alarms on our phones to wake up, or to, take our dog on a walk, to go grocery shopping, whatever we set alarms for. That is the same reason that putting your journal somewhere where you can see it is important. I don't know where I was going with that sentence. So if you are struggling to journal every single day, yes, you could use an alarm, but if you don't want to do that, I would say put your journal somewhere visible. Now, this is obviously not super great if you live in a house with nosy siblings, or you want to keep your journal hidden away because of the private thoughts that you have inside of it, all that. I understand. I am fortunate enough not to have to worry about that, so my journal can be in plain view, and that's okay. But if you are struggling with journaling and you are able to have your journal somewhere where you can see it or be reminded, I would suggest putting it there. If you want to keep it in a safer place, obviously your underwear drawer is a good idea, maybe, because you need underwear every single day, so you're more likely to remember your journal when you open the drawer. And you could theoretically, if this all worked out the way we hoped it would, you could journal in the morning before you get dressed, or after you get dressed after you've seen it. Of course, there are so many different ways that you could go about doing this, so try to find something that works for you. Just make sure that you are going to see your journal every day. If you hide it away in, a shoebox under your bed that has nothing else in it, you might forget about your journal, and thus you wouldn't journal every day. Alright, well, that is all I have for today's video. I know it was relatively short, at least I think it was, but since I'm moving, things have kind of been a little crazy, so yeah. Anyway, if you want to know more about the move or more about my books and stuff, I will leave links down in the description below. But of course, if you follow me on Instagram, that's where I reveal everything. So yeah, you can follow me there as well. And don't forget to subscribe today if you do enjoy these journaling videos, because I would love to help you. Ask me whatever questions you have and I will answer them, whether in a video or directly. I love talking to you guys, so yes, do that. I just hit myself in the jaw. Alright, well, without further ado, I will catch you next time.